I married Claire because she laughed at my stupid jokes and made our tiny kitchen feel like a place worth waking up for. It wasn't flashy, but it was ours. The office holiday party was small. I kissed her at the lobby, waved, and went back to invoices. She sent a photo of her dress. "You'll like this." She looked radiant. That was the last night I saw her before she vanished. By morning, the house was wrong. Her mug sat in the sink. Her phone unlocked on the counter with messages asking if she got home safe. I called her friends, the office, anyone who might know. The security footage showed her leaving the building at 11, smiling with a man I didn't recognize. No car, no taxi. The receptionist shrugged. They left together. Nobody knew his name. When noon passed with no calls, I drove to the office. HR said she'd left with someone after the party, laughing. "Fine," someone said. "Fine." I felt fine, like a clock that lost time. The police took a report and treated me politely, like a man inconvenienced by a runaway spouse. "Adults leave sometimes, Mr. Bennett," the officer said. I left my number. On day 3, a text appeared on my phone. "Gone. Don't look for me." No name, no explanation. My chest went tight. Anger replaced the hollow. I tried to track the man from the footage. A bartender remembered a tall guy who paid in cash and left with Claire. A receipt in an old coat led to a cafe 2 towns over, and a name on the cup, M. Hart. Following Hart was not heroic. It was mechanical. I watched where he went and followed him through side streets until he stopped behind a boatyard. He met a woman wearing a hoodie. When she pulled it down, the sun hit her face and my world split. Claire. She looked different, guarded, as if she had been rehearsing detachment. I didn't shout. I didn't cause a scene. I followed them to a budget motel where Mark Hart tossed keys and laughed like everything was casual and cheap. Claire sat on the bed with her hands in her lap, distant. When Mark went out, I knocked on the door. She opened a fraction. "Ethan?" Her voice was thin. Her eyes were searching for a version of me that would be easily mended. I asked why. She said she needed to know if she could be someone else, that our life felt like a script she hadn't written for years. "Breathe," she said. "Not leave forever, just breathe." It sounded trivial and enormous. I could have yelled. I could have grabbed her and driven off, called the cops, torn the place apart. Instead, I walked away and went home. I didn't shout. I didn't break things. I sat at our kitchen table, looked at the marriage certificate folded in a drawer, and did the only quiet thing that felt like truth. I wrote on a sticky note, "I know where you are." Then I slid it under the motel door. That night she called me, panicked and shaky, asking to come home. Her voice was desperate, an urgent thing that made my chest ache the way absence had. I listened. I could hear in the background a radio, a laugh track that had nothing to do with us. I didn't pick up and beg. I didn't promise. Instead, I did the practical things a man should do when his life fractures. I changed passwords to accounts she had access to. I canceled a few cards. I called a lawyer for advice, small, protective measures that felt like putting a lid on a pan that refused to stop boiling. When she arrived at the door, she was smaller than the woman in the motel, raw and apologetic. "I'm sorry," she said, and the words fell like coins into an empty jar. She explained that Mark made her feel seen in a way our routine had stopped doing. She said she didn't know how to come back from that for the first time in years she was afraid to be the person she'd become if she stayed. I sat and listened the way you watch a storm pass a window. Quiet, attentive, knowing it will change the light. There was fury in me that wanted to punish and tenderness that wanted to fix. I told her what I felt. The nights of silence, the slow disappearance of touch, the ache of being invisible in my own home. She asked for forgiveness. I didn't give it freely. "You vanished to see if you could be someone else," I said. "You found out you could. I can't pretend that didn't happen." That was the contrast framing I had rehearsed in the empty hours. Not a shouting match, but the cold clarity of consequence. We set boundaries. She would seek counseling, and we would see a lawyer to discuss protections and expectations. I would not take her back without changes that could be measured, not just felt. She signed like someone trying to hold on to a shape she feared losing. People who read a story like this might call me cruel. They would not understand the nights I had held a silence that was not peaceful but sharp. They would not know the way trust erodes like a shoreline, grain by grain. They would not understand why a small act, writing 4 words on a sticky note, felt like a treaty between past and future. Weeks later, She moved back in with a caution that felt like new skin. We rebuilt like carpenters working a battered porch, measured, slow, with lots of checking and rechecking. Other nights we laughed, tentative, like people relearning how to speak the same language. There is no grand ending, no cinematic reconciliation with fireworks. There is only this, a choice made in daylight, not drama. She had vanished for a night and returned with honesty. I had learned how to mark the line between forgiveness and forgetting. We both learned that regret can be the beginning of repair, but it can never erase the fact that someone once walked away and healed.